What's up, everybody? We're back. It's Friday night, which means we're here with some MMA DFS picks for DraftKings and FanDuel. It's UFC Vegas 45, Chris Daukaus, Derrick Lewis, and we're here with predictions, picks, best bets, DFS strategies, you name it. In these videos on Friday nights, what we do is we take a look at the main event, we break it down, and how to play it in various DFS contests. We talk about DFS newcomers or UFC newcomers making their debuts, fights that we want to target in our DFS tournament lineups. We'll give out a couple of bets at the end, and then a segment that we put on last week that you all seem to enjoy. We'll talk about our tournament exposures for every single fighter on the card. Welcome, I'm Brian Juster, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, and I'm joined by Jake the Snake, writer of the Daily Plug at OccupyFantasy.com, owner of MMA DFS.com. Jake, happy last UFC slate of the year.
Man, just flew right by, right? Like, I can't believe it. 43rd UFC slate of the year, I believe. Just like that. And it looks like a good one, man, at least for tournaments. I really like it.
I know. It seems like just yesterday, you and I were talking about planning the year ahead for UFC, for your site and working with us, and it's really flown by. I just want to say it's been a pleasure to work with you for the past year, and it's been a very successful first year in the UFC game for you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a great year, man. It's been a whirlwind.
So let's jump into it. Lewis versus Dawkis. I was reading the Daily Plug, which is live on OccupyFantasy.com right now. Right before we jumped live here on video, Jake, and you were talking about in the plug that Lewis has fought twice this year. Both of his main event fights have not ended up in the optimal DFS lineups on DraftKings. I vividly remember the one because it was a 100K winner for me. The other one was a Cyril Gane fight. So is it any different for this slate?
So it's not drastically different. I would say the only real difference is in those previous two Lewis fights, we had a more expensive favorite, whereas now we have Dawkis a little bit cheaper. So that's really the only difference that I see. In general, it's still going to be the same thing. We still got Lewis, low volume, low striking volume, low strikes absorbed. No takedowns landed. People aren't really going to want to just stand and trade with him. So, lots of staring at each other. He rarely gets knocked down. I mean, just really not many stats to go around when you have a Derrick Lewis fight. And on top of that, this is his 12th 5-round fight of his career. He's never had one end in the first round.
It's pretty impressive. So Dawkis is the favorite here. Do you think he should be the favorite?
I mean, I get it. I mean, I think that it's going to be a pretty close fight, and it could go either way. But I think that, it makes sense that Dawkis is the favorite just looking at their resumes coming into it. But it's a big step up in competition for Dawkis. Lewis has fought everyone. You look at who Dawkis has fought. He fought like kind of two nobodies and then two really old guys. So, this is a huge step up. We're going to learn a lot about him. He could look great. Or we could finally see some holes in his game, which we haven't really seen yet.
Very possible. Now, with a low volume main event, heavyweights, what does this mean for low risk contests in DraftKings? Generally, we're just saying stack the main event, figure out the rest of your low risk lineup, play values and money line favorites, but not necessarily the case with a low volume main event.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a terrible low risk cash week. First of all, I think it's a great tournament week, bad cash week. You don't want to stack the main event because not only is the winner probably not going to score well, the loser is going to score terribly.
Yes.
We're probably looking at a knockout in rounds 2 or 3 with very little volume behind it, no takedowns, maybe no knockdowns. I believe 3 of 5 of Derrick Lewis's knockouts, there has not been a knockdown. He kind of, shells up against the fence, gets fights stopped, sometimes goes to a knee, but a lot of times there's not a knockdown in his fights. When he's losing. So Dawkis has been riding high, just getting a million knockdowns. This is going to be a really tough spot for him to get 2 knockdowns again, which is kind of what's been propping up his scores in his kind of historic run. I wrote more up about that on MMA DFS, but not to go through all the stats. But basically, he's just like crushing all the records for knockdowns right now, and there's no way that continues.
We talk about this for every single fighter that comes through with crazy knockdowns, right? We talk about the variance is coming now. Step up in competition. This is the perfect time for the variance to come to an end. It happens to everyone. Not everyone can continue to knock down every single fighter twice in a fight. So we'll see. We'll see if Dawkis is a generational talent in that regard. So, all right, let's move on to UFC newcomers. Just one, and it was a short notice replacement, Victor Henry. Let me pull up the Occupy model here at OccupyFantasy.com. Ranks every fighter, FanDuel, and DraftKings with projected ownership. Victor Henry, Jake stepping in on late notice to fight Raoni Barcelos, who is our cover boy of the Daily Plug. Talk to me about Victor Henry, his resume. What are his chances in this fight?
Yeah, so he took this fight on 10 days notice after Trevin Jones dropped out. Really tough spot to make your UFC debut on short notice, let alone against a guy like Raoni Barcelos, who's, complete beast. We know that Barcelos is coming off a loss in his last fight, but he almost got a second round finish there. He landed a pair of knockdowns in round 2, and then it looked like he kind of gassed out. He was coming off COVID. I don't know if that had anything to do with his cardio, but that was his first loss in his last 10 fights, I believe. Guy's really, really, really good. Like, he's trying to compete at the top of the division. So, making your short notice debut against him is a lot to ask. Both guys are actually the same age. Henry's kind of a journeyman. He's 21-5. All 5 of those losses have gone the distance. So, one thing he has going for him is he's never been finished, but massive step up in competition for him. So, everyone's never been finished until they have. We always like to say that. He does have a split decision win over Kyler Phillips back in 2018, which is, Kyler Phillips is in the UFC. He's been pretty impressive. So, that looks pretty good on Victor Henry's resume. If you watch that fight, Kyler was able to take Henry down easily, control him on the ground in the first round, and then basically Phillips just gasses out and Henry takes over in the later 2 rounds to win the decision. So, it wasn't the most impressive win, but he showed he has decent cardio, decent grappler, decent striker. I would say he's pretty well-rounded, but he doesn't really stand out as exceptional anywhere. So, the main thing is just a really, really, really tough opponent. So probably a guy we're going to be looking at maybe for his second fight if he gets an easier matchup and a bounce-back spot.
Was just going to say, definitely the type of guy we're not going to target in the first fight, but definitely we see a very profitable trend of these guys in their second fights. Hopefully he gets a newcomer in his second fight as an opponent. That's really when we want to target those types of guys. So, all right, let's talk about some tournament fights that we want to target both sides of. Jake, it would be a disservice to our listeners if we did not start with the Justin Tafa Harry Hunsucker fight because, as you've noted in your content this week, Hunsucker has never been to a round 2. And Tafa's a massive favorite here, but you see a glimmer of hope for Hunsucker.
Yeah, maybe I'm just crazy, but Tafa has been terrible, first of all. So, massive, massive favorite. We got Hunsucker. He comes in 7-4. He's never been in a fight that even made it past the 4-minute mark, let alone out of the first round. He got completely smoked in his UFC debut against Tai Tuivasa, but that was a short notice debut. So we got against a veteran. Tai Tuivasa's had an up and down career, but he's been absolutely murdering everyone lately. So I think we got to give Hunsucker a little bit of a break on that one. He also lost another round 1 KO on the Contender Series against Jared Bandera, but that was also a short notice fight. And then I know me and you have been talking about this guy for a while, how he's been fighting at these random Elks Lounge places, completely just not what you would consider a professional arena. But, he's won 6 of his last 8 fights. So, there's something to be said that he is knocking people out. He's submitting people. He's finishing people in the first round. And we don't think Justin Tafa is great. I would say Justin Tafa he's definitely worse than Tai Tuivasa. He lost to Jared Bandera. Those are the 2 guys that beat Hunsucker. I think Hunsucker looks pretty sharp. Even the Tuivasa fight, he landed 2 crisp punches, and Tai Tuivasa just took him and then just landed a brutal leg kick that had Hunsucker wobbled immediately. But I think if he lands those punches on Tafa might go down. If you go back and watch the Jorgen De Castro fight, I believe that was Tafa's UFC debut. Tafa was out cold from one Jorgen punch as he was kind of moving backwards. And, Hunsucker could definitely land that. Or he could take him down and submit him. So, super cheap DFS play. I think you have to like both sides. I think Hunsucker is the type of guy where he's either going to get a finish or get finished. He's not durable even a little bit. Tafa's coming off back-to-back decisions, so he's looked more durable since that one KO loss of his career. But you definitely want to target both sides. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe Hunsucker gets knocked out in 10 seconds. But I think he's got a shot here, and I kind of like him to win.
And Tafa missed weight, right, as a heavyweight.
First guy ever to miss weight as a heavyweight. I mean, how would you like to hold that record?
I wouldn't. I would never like to hold that record. Harry Hunsucker from VFW to your DFS lineups this weekend. So get him in there. Jake, briefly, any other fights that you're looking at both sides of?
So it's kind of a weird slate. In terms of both sides, that's really the only one where I'm really interested on both sides. You could definitely make an argument on the Cub Swanson Elkins fight. I think whoever wins that fight has a really solid floor, but I'm not sure that the ceiling is there for Swanson necessarily. I could see him scoring kind of like 85 to 95 DraftKings points in a high volume decision win. I think it's going to be hard for him to get a finish. If he does get a finish, I think he's a really good low owned play. So I think that's kind of one you want to target, but not one you want to be super heavy on the Swanson side. Just, a little bit over there, maybe match on Elkins. So a lot of these fights, I'm just looking at one side though. So normally we have more that we're looking to target both, but this is actually a slate where I'm looking at one side on a lot of these fights.
Totally agree. So let's get into our final segment here from a DFS standpoint. And last week we did exclude or thumbs up. And if you use our lineup builder, you know the lingo. Thumbs up means you want to go way over the field on a fighter. Exclude means you don't want to use them in any of your lineups. We got some feedback. Some people thought exclude was too extreme, and that's probably fair. So this week, Jake, I'm going to name every fighter on the card. You're going to just reply with thumbs up, exclude, or go under, right? You don't want to completely exclude them, but you want some exposure, but you want less in the field. So you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're going to start from the highest money lines to the lowest money line. So Amanda Lemos, Angela Hill. Lemos.
I'm kind of matching on Lemos. I think that I've been over on her the last two fights. I think this is probably going to end in a decision. Hill's never been knocked out. So I don't want to exclude her for sure. I don't want to be over. So I think you either want to be under or match on Lemos. And I think really safe floor, but I don't think the ceiling is there compared to her last two fights. And now her ownership is finally catching up with her potential.
Totally agree. And what about the underdog, Angela Hill?
I think Hill's interesting. I really think she's gonna have a tough time winning. I think she's gonna be relying on Lemos to gas out, or else some sort of like freak doctor stoppage. So I think that's another person where I either want to match or be slightly under. I understand being over, but I just don't see her chances to actually win. Lemos is so good, man. I think she's gonna be competing for a title soon.
Super nasty. All right, Tafa Hunsucker. Can we just fast forward? Are we over on both these guys?
I'm definitely over on Hunsucker, and I'm probably gonna like match on Toffee. He's pretty popular. I don't know if you really need to go over necessarily on him, but definitely over on Hunsucker. I mean, easy.
For sure. Absolutely agree. All right, Barcelos and Henry. Over match, under exclude. What are we doing?
I'm thumbs up over on Barcelos, and I mean, I guess I can see matching on Henry, either exclude or match. I mean, I really don't think he's going to win, but he's so low owned that if you want to match his single digit ownership, can't blame you in tournaments.
I mean, it worked out for Pena last week, didn't it? So, Ricky Simone, Rafael Asuncao. I think I got that right, hopefully.
I'm going under on both these guys. I think this is a really tough spot for Simone. I mean, you just look at Asuncau's takedown defense, 80%. He's a super slow-paced counterpuncher. I have no interest in playing any Asuncao. No idea if I'm saying that right. Man, like Simone's probably going to end up burning me. He's probably going to get 8 takedowns, even though like Asuncao has been taken down 6 times in like 16 UFC fights. But I think you have to be over on Simone. I'm sorry, under on Simone, just based on his ownership and the matchup. So under on both guys there. And honestly, you can exclude a Asuncao.
Makes sense. Stephen Thompson, Muhammad. We excluding these guys?
Man, I think you can exclude Thompson for sure. I think that there's a chance that Bilal can land some takedowns and maybe serve as a value play at his price. So I'm going to be under on both, but I think you can exclude Thompson and be somewhere between under and match on Bilal, but still be under. I mean, I think Thompson wins the decision here, and neither guy scores well.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. Gerald Mearshart, Dustin Stoltzfus, who's probably in his last UFC fight.
Yeah, definitely probably in his last UFC fight. Man, normally it's always a fight to target when Mearshart fights, but Stoltzfus has looked so bad that I kind of want to be under on both these guys. I think that Mearshart, good chance he gets like a third round submission in a really low volume fight. I'm fine matching on Mearshart and being under on Stoltzfus. And I mean, if you want to exclude Stoltzfus, I mean, he's super gross. He's looked terrible, so it's fine.
I mean, this entire show is sponsored by Charles Jourdain. So Jourdain and Yule, I'll just say Jake's gonna be way over. Thumbs up on Jourdain. He pleaded to put him on the cover of the Daily Plug, made an executive decision. We could not do it. What about the opponent, Andre Yule?
I mean, I think because everyone that's, sharp is going to be so over on Jourdain that I think you have to match on Yule just as a little bit of a hedge, but I'm not going over on Yule. Yule has never shown us that he can score well. Now he's moving up a weight class. Jourdain's on fighting for a new contract. I think Jourdain, is going to finish Yule here. I think he's going to catch him on the left hook and knock him out in probably the third round. Potentially comes in the second, but I don't see any upset on Yule. So I'm either matching or under or exclude on Yule. Definitely not over. I would only match if you have a ton of Jourdain, just as a hedge.
Okay, that's fair. Cub Swanson, Darren Elkins.
That I definitely want to be over on Swanson because he's so low owned, and Elkins is gonna be pretty popular, which normally with the popular dogs we normally want to be under. But I feel like on this slate, it's so easy to get unique in all these other spots that I'm actually gonna match on Elkins and then be over on Swanson.
Oh, okay, very nice, very nice. Sarge and Gatto.
So I'm definitely under on Gatto. I think that she's going to be really over-owned coming off that fluky post-round two TKO stoppage from that arm injury. It was really weird. Yeah, so dumb. So definitely under on Gatto, and I think you kind of want to match on Eubanks. People might chase on her because she just had a career best performance. I mean, I'm fine going under on both. I think this is going to end in a decision. I think it's going to be hard for either one to really score well, but Eubanks is still pretty low owned, so match would be under on her.
Okay. What about the big boys? Dontel Mays, Josh Parisian.
Oh my god, this fight is so gross. Like
over. Just say over. I'll say over for you. We're getting the knockout.
How is this a UFC fight? I mean, I don't get it, man. I really think he goes to a decision. Like, I don't think either one of these guys is good enough to get a finish, but I mean, if you look at the percentages compared to their ownership, then it's hard not to say over. I definitely think you should be over on Parisian, who I think actually can pull off the upset here. God, Mays looks so bad against Roque Martinez. Like, yeah. I don't know how you justify being over on a guy like that at his price, but I'm going under on Mays, over on Parisian personally.
All right, can't wait for that one. And then Mateusz Gamrot, Diego Ferreira. Really interesting matchup here, but Gamrot's a beast.
Yeah, Gamrot's so good, man. Love this guy. Definitely over on Gamrot, under on Ferreira.
All right, Rockwell Pennington, Macy Chiasson. What we got?
Yeah, I think anytime Pennington fights, it's pretty safe to exclude her. Chiasson's kind of the other way around. Like 4 of her fights have scored over 100 DraftKings points, but God, it's so hard to score well in a Pennington fight. So I think you still have to be under on both. I'd probably exclude Pennington, and I'd still be under on Chiasson, who missed weight by, 2.5 pounds? She's officially the heaviest female UFC fighter of all time at weigh-ins today. So not a great look, but you really have to ask yourself, like, was she cutting down, and is it going to hurt her cardio, or was she just like, screw it, and just showed up super huge, and she's just going to manhandle Pennington? So I think you have to kind of decide what direction you're going there. And if you think she's going to manhandle Pennington, then I can see matching or being over. But I don't know, man. Those weight misses are always a little sketchy.
Always sketchy. Main event, Dawkis and Lewis. Sounds like you're under on both, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely under on both. Way under on Dawkis, a little bit under on Lewis. I mean, these guys are basically round one or bust plays, and no one ever gets a round one finish in Lewis fights. So, I mean, you look at their ownership. I mean, this is the best leverage opportunity on the slate to be under on both these guys.
We're going to clip that and put it on social media because it's a very good point. And final fight, Jordan Levitt, Matt Sales. I can see both sides here, but Jake, what are you thinking?
I'm going over on Levitt. I'm going to give him one more shot. He got in that grappling battle against Pools and looked sluggish and terrible in his last fight, but I think this is a much more favorable matchup. Sales is coming off a long layoff. ACL surgery. He said he ballooned all the way up to 250 pounds, and he's a 145-pound fighter. Now he's fighting up a weight class while he works the weight off. I mean, yeah, Levitt has everything working for him here. If he can't get this finish, then I mean, he's definitely dead to me. But as the cheapest DraftKings favorite, definitely going over on Levitt. I think it's a bounce back spot, and I'm going under on Sales. And it is a high variance spot. So I don't think you want to completely exclude Sales because Levitt is a one-dimensional grappler, and Sales does have a bunch of round one finishes on his record. So if he can somehow keep it standing, maybe he could get a finish. And he's going to be low owned.
Very good. So this is the second time we've done this segment. We got a couple weeks off before the new year starts. So if you like that segment, let us know your opinions in the comments below. We appreciate the feedback. And if you have any other ideas for these videos that we're going to continue to do in 2022 or any other ideas for UFC content, let us know in the comments. We appreciate it. We appreciate you following along all year and watching these videos and consuming our content. We absolutely appreciate it. I speak for Jake when I say this. We thank you all for listening. Jake, let's close it out. We got to get our money back with the stream parlay. Final parlay of 2021. Dude, I think I'm gonna ride with what you put in the plug. Give me Barcelos round 2 KO for my side of the stream parlay.
Man, I love it. I just gotta say, how close were we last week? I mean,
literally a second, literally 1 second.
I mean, for anyone that didn't watch, we had Robertson round 2. Was it round 2 or round 2 sub? Either way, she got a round 1 submission with 1 second left in the first round, and then we had Tony Kelly round 2 at plus 1200 was my leg. Yeah. Of course, that one hits, and Robertson misses by 1 second. Man, thought that was our. What was it, like 83 to 1 or something? Yeah,
something crazy, something crazy.
So close, so close.
Let's get it back this week.
I really like that that Barcelos round 2. Man, he has so many round 2 finishes, and this looks like a great time to get another one. Just so we don't do the exact same parlay that I put in the plug, I'm gonna go Derrick Lewis round 2 KO at plus 1,000.
Ooh,
yeah, right. just so we have a little bit of hedge life, because I do really like that Jourdain round 3 though.
Of course you do. It wouldn't be a Jourdain slate if you didn't. So, all right, that'll do it for this video. We appreciate everyone listening and tuning in. Be sure to go read all of Jake's content, MMADFS.com. He has some exclusive content over there as well, so make sure you check it all out. Fight breakdowns, DFS, and betting implications. He writes our daily plug, OccupyFantasy.com. You saw it on screen here for a little bit during this video. Top plays, low risk, high risk contests, lineup strategies for specific contest types. His best bets, all in one article, OccupyFantasy.com. Check it out. Occupy model up and running, projected ownership and rankings. Lineup builders running. I'm going to use it to try to win another 100K this week. Build up to 150 lineups using our optimal lineup criteria. Follow Jake on Twitter at DFS_MA. Follow me at BrianJesterFF. Follow us at Occupy Fantasy. Appreciate you all again, all of 2021 for UFC. Enjoy this slate. Have a good holiday break, and we'll catch you for UFC on the flip side in 2022.